Hi everyone, this is really serious information and I'm passing it on, and I've got a couple of things to add to this as well now, and please people, you've got to get active, okay? You really do, and please start listening to what I am sharing, to the information that I am sharing. Stop judging me, okay, as dirt and filth and moaning about the fact that I get angry sometimes and I swear. Okay, understand this, I have to listen to the swearing every single day. Okay, I live in a world that dares to rule us with the blasphemy of legally defining our children as minor human beings. Okay, that to me is the absolute worst, disgusting blasphemy, and I'm then being judged for calling that consciousness that would judge a human child as an inferior human being, okay? Because I call that for what it is, a fucker and a bastard. That consciousness that would judge a child a bastard is a bastard, okay? That consciousness that would judge a child as an inferior human being is an inferior human consciousness. And now that inferior human consciousness that has usurped the Judaic faith, just as the these warring Islamic factions have usurped Islam, just as the previously warring so-called Christian factions have usurped the name and memory of Jesus and turned it all into, you know, a facade for what in reality is a devil-worshipping cult. Because Jesus did not arrive on this planet to establish this ritual human sacrifice and human cannibalism while kneeling before an instrument of Roman torture. And anybody who thinks that Jesus did arrive on this world purely to establish that, then I'm sorry, you're very, very misguided. And I've been sharing the message of universal law of abundance and compassion that upholds all our human rights and does not define a child as a minor human being. Instead, the child is VIP. Okay, so that is what I am sharing, and that is what you people who consider yourself human beings, who aspire to establish a human society on this planet, then you need to understand, and you need to stop judging me as dirt and filth, because you are now going to be governed by the dirt and the filth that put all those judgments in your head against people like me in the first place. So, Israel's is positioned to guard the world's internet. Okay, and they're also going to be the guardian of Bitcoin as well. And you know, what he's sharing here, and I'll leave you the link, and please watch it, because you know, this isn't wild conspiracy theory. This is based on actual official media reports, okay? This is not theory. This is what is going on. They've got Jerusalem now, and they're going full steam ahead with their new world order, because you know, they're getting worried because they're running out of time, because too many people are waking up. But what is in their favour at the moment is that people aren't organised. They're all falling for the divisions, the race and the immigration and the Muslim and the religion and this and that, and standing against gays. And you know, what would you like to stand against in this world? But whatever it is, you know, don't organise, don't unite and stand against the force of consciousness that is imposed all these divisions on us as human beings in the first place, and that is profiting from them. Now that is a very, very serious issue. And again, you know, this is why, despite the fact that I felt that Britain's entrance into the EU was unlawful, which it was, because we were just signed into it and then afterwards people were given a referendum, and then people were terrorised, were frightened in exactly the same way as people have been frightened into voting Brexit. People were frightened into voting to stay. You see, they were threatened, oh, your economy's going to fall to bits now because you've joined the EU, and if you leave now, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. So people voted stay. And then, when we're in it, and just at the point we're about to start receiving the full benefits of being in the EU, suddenly Britain is persuaded to vote leave. Just at a point when the government wants to scrap our human rights. Actually not just want, as pledged and promised, to scrap our human rights. And just at that point, now suddenly we've left the EU, when the world is in a very much more dangerous situation than it was when we were forced to enter the EU. Because now we're talking about global corporate control. And Britain's isolated. It's isolated itself. All on the grounds of the Zionist imposed divisions on humanity. And oh, what can I say? What can I say? So anyway, moving on. Through this video, he's presenting, as I say, official evidence of the plans that are being now openly rolled out. So we've got 5G being openly rolled out, going to be a global international thing. We've got Bitcoin, which is now, as I predicted, as I always said, this Bitcoin was going to be always controlled again by the Zionists. And they will have people working for a fraction of 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 a Bitcoin, and you will have a number, okay, and that will be your income. And that means total control of everything people buy, that people will not be able to, you know, have things like car boot sales. It will literally have to be barter. We will literally have to return to barter. On the ground, we're going to have to be, you know, we won't have any money to give people because, you know, the transactions will all be scrutinised, and anybody at any given time, because the other thing that Israel wants to do is set up an international police force, an international corporate police force. So, you know, somebody somewhere with full control and access to everybody's Bitcoin accounts, because they're the guardians of it, can at any point send information to your government, who will then send information to their corporate police acting on behalf of the international corporate police, who will come knocking on your door and say, oh, you gave this much money to so-and-so, why? What did you buy off this person? Oh, you received this much money off so-and-so, for what purpose? Honestly, because you're not thinking deep, people. You're standing in the shallows and you're not thinking deep. You're not thinking ahead. Humanity, you haven't even got the childcare capacity of a meerkat, because at least the meerkats have lookouts. Well, people like myself, people like him, we're your lookouts, and you're not listening to us. Well, what is the point? Why do you have lookouts if you don't listen to them, and instead you're listening to people waving these shiny fucking golden coins at you? Why aren't you listening to the shining ones, the true shining ones? Why do you think this evil consciousness is so addicted to gold and has to cover itself in gold? To deceive you that, oh look, we shine with the divine light of gold, because gold, you know, is from God, and all those people with this gold, you know, we serve God, we're meant to be the gods of earth. No, but it is they try to outshine the shining golden light, universal intelligence. They're trying to outshine it, and you're putting your faith in it, humanity, and everything that comes from that faith in gold, everything is what has established this world. This is very serious, and I hope to wake you up, you know. Now, recently I shared information about this, thanks to an article by Lee Camp, okay, in Truthdig, thanks to Chris Hedges and all the people at Truthdig who are working for you. But you're addicted to the Guardian and the Telegraph and the BBC. You need to understand these corporate entities. They really are presenting a comic strip to you. Okay? It is time to get deep. Step out of the shallows. Learn how to swim. So, what has been funding this corporate machine that's being rolled out right now? Well, you know, American people understand this. The Pentagon cannot account for $21 trillion it's received over the last 21 years. Since between 1998 and 2015, they've had $21 trillion that they cannot account for. So what has it been spent on? Because they've been siphoning off money that should have gone to the military. What, 21 trillion over 21 years? What kind of military does America need? What has it been spent on? Has it been spent on this? Creating DynCorp? And, you know, let me make the point here. I'm not criticising the people who work for DynCorp. In that sense, when it comes to jobs, people are like birds. You know, you scatter some seeds on the table, the birds will come and eat it. The hungry birds will come and eat it. And it's the same with jobs. You put jobs on the table, people will do them. They've got no choice. We've all got to earn a living in this world and feed our families. So this is not a judgment against the people working within DynCorp. I sincerely hope that what I'm sharing here liberates you, and from within you can perhaps help this corporation to actually become human and support humanity, because a true army defends humanity and protects humanity. A mercenary outfit will do whatever job it's been paid to do with very few questions asked. And this DynCorp International, you know, how does an independent, you know, a private enterprise suddenly have the amount of money that it needs? Look how many helicopters are here. How does a corporation suddenly have this amount of money available to it that it can spend on all this military equipment that then America can hire? And they are hiring it. They're sending it out to Afghanistan, to Iraq, to Libya, to wherever they're needed. American government is paying DynCorp. Britain's got a DynCorp, DynCorp International established here now. They're hoping to get the hooks into Europe as well, from Britain. The British government could hire DynCorp to attack the British people and the British military. If the British military ever stood by the British people saying, no, we are not having this, and the British police force, well, DynCorp International can send in its own police force and its own military. And who is backing it? Israel. The Zionists, because it's Zionist bankers that have funded this. And very likely through funneling money out of the Pentagon. Because what does 21 trillion buy? $21 trillion. And when you look at how the International Monetary Fund, okay, how big is Greece's debt? 321 billion. And they brought that country to its knees because of that debt. Because, you know, the Greek government's monthly salary and pensions bill is between 1.4 to 1.7 billion. This is equivalent of buying 548 Bugatti they run every month. Oh, how terrible. The World Bank sends the IMF in to investigate. Oh, no, drive people to crippling austerity, bring the whole country to ruin, drive people to suicide, professional people having to search through bins to find some food, okay, because they've got such a terrible debt. 321 billion. And what is a trillion? 1,000 billion. Okay, 1 trillion. So, as Lee Camp explains here, that if you piled this debt up, this unaccounted for money, okay, then if you piled it dollar by dollar, it would be 68 miles high. That means it would be 65 miles into outer space. And that is exactly where this consciousness is, because I'll tell you now, it is not connected to Earth, other than to rob and rape and destroy. And now that same consciousness wants to take over the internet that has robbed the American people. If this was an honest and a consciousness we could trust, why would they have to steal money? Because at least this is a debt. It is known what the money has been spent on. Okay? It's accountable. It's accounted for. Again, they're making complaints. There's a the America's budget deficit is a ticking time bomb. Apparently, by 2028, it will be in excess of $1 trillion. So you better start cutting Medicare now. You better start cutting Social Security now. You better start raising the retirement age now. Because it's such a serious issue. The whole of Congress needs to start discussing this, but Congress doesn't need to discuss $21 trillion that's unaccounted for, that's been poured into the Pentagon. Well, if by 2028 America's so-called budget deficit for caring for its people is going to be in excess of $1 trillion, then what would $21 trillion have done for America? What could you have done with $21 trillion? And what has the corporation been doing with it? Setting up DimeCorp, investing in 5G and its smart meters. Where did it suddenly get all this money from? Why is it that the bankers have got money? Because all this has come from where? They've got money to invest in, global scale operations. Robbing the people in order to force them to work, to pay, to buy the very chains that are going to be used to enslave them. That is despicable and disgusting. Now, supposing Greece decided to turn round, which it should have done, the Greece's government, like the Icelandic government, should have turned round and said to those bankers, do you know what? This is criminal. How dare you? This is a criminal, illegal debt that's been created through your fraud, your theft, your incompetence, your greed. And we are not going to have our nation crippled by you. Go away with your money supply. Take your debt with you. We're going to invest whatever wealth we have now. We're going to invest it in hemp, and we're going to invest it in creating eco-industry to produce everything we need from the tree of life, okay? Because hemp is a tree. Look how tall hemp grows. Hemp is a tree, and it can provide everything that we need, even hempcrete, animal food, you name it. We can produce it ourselves out of hemp. Now supposing Greece did that, so what? The corporate bank could then hire DimeCorp to attack Greece, And you know, they don't just use military, they also use intelligence as well. They also, this is what they do, they also use intelligence. You know, you're talking like psyops and stuff like this. You're talking Cambridge Analytica stuff. These corporations are all interconnected. They're all owned by the World Bank, because it's the World Bank that funds. This is where the money comes from. Where does the money come from? How does, like I say, a corporation set itself up suddenly with all this military hardware? Where does it get the money from? The Pentagon. 21 trillion. Imagine if that had been invested in producing eco-friendly, sustainable jobs and a fair and lawful society for people in America. Oh, no, 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 they don't want to do that because, you know, once you start feeding people and making life easy, there's going to be a massive population explosion. But that is not true, because it has been proven beyond any doubt whatsoever that in every single country where women have received rights, where there's healthcare, where there's a reasonable standard of living and people have opportunity and interest in life, birth rates fall. Birth rates were dropping so fast in Britain that the BBC was complaining about an ageing population. It's poverty, it's oppression and denial of women's rights, women and children's rights, that leads to population explosions. And then they turn and point to that population explosion of people who have been raised in the dirt, who are completely mystified and confused. And oh, look, look, they're all stupid, look, they're all killing each other and robbing each other. And yeah, because they're reflecting what is above. As above, so below. They're reflecting the consciousness that is robbing and raping them. And they're not being given an education to understand that, no, you need to pull yourself out of this and stand with your humanity. That's why Jesus came as an example of a true human being. And he's the golden light, the shining one. And they think that they can cover an instrument of Roman torture in gold and tell us that that has come from God, that God decided to kill Jesus in order to save them from sin, isn't it? In order to save them, that, you know, because we will just keep forgiving them, won't we? No, forgiveness is not for ignorant criminals. Forgiveness is for people who are sorry for what they've done, who've admitted to their crime and are genuinely sorry. That's who forgiveness is for, and for them 70 times 70. But for people that are intent on robbing and deceiving people and refuse to accept their crimes, refuse to admit to them, you know, they want to commit the crimes and at the same time appear holier than thou. I'm really doing what I can. What can I do? You know, the light has come. Nobody likes it. I'm sorry, you know, yes, the extremists, I offend you all. The truth offends you all because it proves you all wrong. Admit it. Admit, yes, actually, I'm wrong. I'm part of a wrong organisation. Jar, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was confused. Welcome home, come on home, come and get human, come and join humanity. It's warm in here, it's cold outside, and it's going to get colder and colder and colder and colder, because this is a very, very cold war. It's the Cold War that attacks people in their homes and drives them to suicide. And I'm not talking, you know, over 50,000 people in Britain have lost their lives since austerity began. And I'm not talking just about the people who are sick, the people on benefits. You know, I'm talking about people who've lost their jobs, people who've lost their pensions, people who've lost their trust funds, people who are having to work 0-hour contracts in high-pressure jobs, NHS staff. Economic terrorism. Economic terrorism. The banker did not, there was no debates and discussions in Congress or the Senate, were they, when the Pentagon couldn't account for its first trillion. There were no concern expressed from the Federal Reserve, owned by the World Bank. Oh, the Pentagon's lost $1 trillion. It can't account for it. You know, sorry, we need to know what this has been spent on. This is public money. We need to know what has America received in return to this, because the Federal Reserve is supposed to be there for America. But no, it's controlled by the World Bank, and Israel's quite happy. Yeah. Just give them another $1 trillion. Yeah, give them another $1 trillion. You know, and as I've said in my previous video, if that is the amount that they can't account for, then how much more money have they had that they can account for? So, you know, you've got a country, you've got a government that's concerned that by 2028, this so-called budget deficit, how can it have a budget deficit? How can you have a budget deficit on your Social Security and Medicare and pensions, America, when you've been able to give 21 trillion to the Pentagon that it doesn't even have to account for? How can you have a budget deficit? Oh gosh, sorry, you know, what can I say? I'm just so concerned. And this is, you know, we've got to think of the child, the human child. What future do they have? What future do they have? And this 5G, I'm sorry, you know, do you know, at first, I have to say, I thought all this Wi-Fi stuff, people saying, oh, you know, Wi-Fi is bad for you. You know, I mean, I just thought, well, it's a bit like people were saying, you know, colour TV is bad for you, and this is bad for you, and that's bad for you, and, you know, is it really bad for you? But, you know, I looked into it, I checked it out, and I realised, yes, there is a risk here, because we're talking microwaves. And, you know, so you take the advice, turn off the Wi-Fi at night and this kind of thing. But, you know, then when it gets to 5G and they're chopping down all our trees, because, you know, they get in the way of the 5G signals. And they are actually damaged by it. You know, this, you're talking military grade microwave levels that they want to bathe our cities in, that will be able to spy on us, everything that we're doing in our own homes, and perhaps and even listen to our conversations. I mean, this is getting really bad, and the next generation will be powerless to do anything at all. They are literally going to be like rats in cages, governed by the men in white coats. And really, that is what humanity deserves, if it's that stupid not to stand up for the children's rights, if they're that stupid to accept the legal definition of minor on their children, then yes, you do need to be governed by the men in white coats, who unfortunately are even more stupid than you are, because it's them that's made you stupid, because as above, so below. So, you know, this is the future humanity. It's theirs, it's ours. Stand up for your rights to live in a sustainable, fair, free economy, okay? That we have rights to be independent nations. We have rights to our different faiths and our cultures. Those are we have rights. Our children have rights. They are not minor human beings. And every country has the right to align with universal law of abundance and compassion, the true golden light wealth of humanity, universal intelligence. And yes, they can all incorporate it, because any that cannot is an illegal faith, if it cannot incorporate universal golden light intelligence and law. Because, let's face it, none of them have had any trouble incorporating the corporate laws, have they? None of them have had any trouble incorporating the corporate money supply, have they? Well, what's good enough for them is good enough for Jah. So, you know, an Israeli international police force they want to set up also, he explains here, an Israeli, you know, a supreme international court to be based in Jerusalem. These are things that are happening. Okay, this is serious. This is serious. They do want to have total control. So, and they're moving at pace now. They're moving fast changes. Things are speeding up. You're going to see major, massive, huge changes happen within a day. Okay? That's how quick. That's how quick. And so now we need to bring our own changes just as quick, because that's how quick they have to fall when we stand up and start speaking sanity and truth and justice and righteously stand up for our rights to live as universal beings. That is our right. That we, our ancestors, our souls have toiled and sweated by generation and generation. What? For them, this criminal consciousness to come and seize everything that we've worked for, to divide us all, to drive us into cattle, to be governed by people that are not even connected to their own human compassion, who have placed compassion for a stumbling block, when it is our head cornerstone of the law, compassion. It's the head cornerstone of our humanity, and they have cast it out, these builders, and turned it into a stumbling block. So anybody with compassion can't succeed in this world. The only psychopaths are going to be the winners of every race, of every division. Psychopaths who support the psychopaths. We need to stand by that stumbling block, our head cornerstone. We need to set it up, and I'm appealing to all the people with wealth in this world, even the Zionists. Okay, please get your head out of the nonsense and get real, get down to earth, start investing in this, because I tell you, these plans, this new world order stuff, it really is a path to extinction. Okay, it really is a path to extinction, and you know, it says it all, doesn't it, in the evil plagiarism of revelations that they're following right now, that the people of Nineveh were intelligent enough to say no to, because we have a choice, and that is the whole point, that we have a choice. Do we choose to be intelligent or not? So I send love and blessings to everybody, and take strength and take courage. Okay, find faith. Find the faith. I have the faith because I know, because I am experienced, and so are a lot of people who are there to guide us, who will stand with us. We all need to take strength and faith for each other now, and understand God is love.